I had a client the other day who went and looked at a house, and they're making an offer on the house, and the house had cloth wiring on the whole electrical panel, I guess, or however that was full of cloth wiring. What are the dangers about cloth wiring?
Yeah, so there's a lot of dangers to cloth wiring. I'd say the biggest thing is that because of the age of the wire and just the material that they put on around it, it tends to chip off and it peels off. And so as soon as that copper gets exposed and that metal gets exposed, now you're talking about arcing and you're getting a lot of sparks. And that's when you start getting into that conversation of a house fire because of the cloth
Wow.
wire.
Well,
Right.
we're going to learn a lot more about that and a lot more about the things that go in and out of purchasing a property or owning a home and the electrical components about that because we've got my guest, Lou Garlobo, and his son, Ishmael,
Yep.
on the Loan Doctor podcast. I'm Rich Brandt, the Loan Doctor. Welcome to our waiting room. We have another unusual situation too. For the first time in our show's history, we actually have two people booked at the same time. So rather than pretend that problems don't happen, we're going to lean into it. And I've got my good friend Jarvis Besnos, who is Jarvis is a software designer, and he's going to be here too. So for the first time ever, we're going to have two different guests, and we're going to kind of talk about a little bit about both their businesses. Jarvis and I have a unique story. How did we meet?
Actually, was at a executive program by Jim Moran, taught by Florida State University.
Yeah, yeah.
So we both parts of, I think, the first cohort or the second cohort, and we became friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we lost contact, and I was going to buy a house. I couldn't find a loan, mortgage that would lend us money. So I remember about you. I gave you a call, and then you were able to fix and able to get us house. And that was back, before COVID. That's how we reconnect.
That's how long we go back. So the Jim Moran Institute had this thing. We did this like a business summit that taught you how to like run your business and all that. We were both self-employed entrepreneurs, and this is even before I was in the. I got involved in Jim Moran before I was even in the mortgage industry, and then got into the mortgage industry. So when we met, we were part of like this CEO roundtable. And when you think about small businesses, a lot of times what happens with small business owners is that they don't have a sounding board with other people who've had similar problems. Yeah, they've got the people who work for them. You guys work together and stuff like that. But they don't have like that sounding board to say how other business decisions are made. And sometimes you get a little stymied. And so this CEO roundtable was basically, it was like I would go to this room and Jarvis was on my board of directors and would be able to advise my company along with a bunch of other people who were in self-employed entrepreneurs who understood business, not necessarily my field, but the business. And then the same thing happened with him.
Yeah,
And
there was an exercise that they had, which was someone will bring a problem. I'm having issues. You had an issue with HR, so I'm trying to hire my friend. Should I hire my friend? And people who had experience with that will give their opinion. So, and went around the table, and then, well, my experience is that you should or you should not because of this and that. And Rich ended up hiring your friend.
Yes, I ended up hiring. That was the funniest thing. Yes, yeah. And he. So one of the people on my team is my best friend from middle school.
Wow, that's awesome.
Still works for me to this day.
Yeah.
So nepotism is the best. So Lou, tell us a little bit about Boca Electrical, your experience and how long you've been in business, the area that you serve.
Sure. We're basically serving about 20-mile radius in the Boca Raton area. My experience, I've been doing electrical since I was probably 15 years old, so about 40 years in experience in the company. And we are based here in Boca Raton, Florida, and we go around 25-mile radius, just servicing just residential service.
When we're talking about like electrical things and stuff like that, just for our audience knows, the electrical issues that happen in Boca Raton are universal, right?
Correct.
It's everywhere, right? So it doesn't
at
matter
least
where you might
especially
be
in the
listening to.
U.S., right? The
Yep.
U.S. has one national code, and so every electrician has to follow the national code of the U.S.
Gotcha. All right. Perfect. So tell me, you've worked on some really interesting electrical projects in your life. Tell me one of the more interesting projects that you worked on.
Yeah, well, we worked in the interesting project was the tunnel that we built.
Yep.
We built a tunnel in Miami, goes from the Causeway Bridge all the way to the Miami port. that was I was a project manager there at the tunnel.
Yeah, if you haven't been to the Port of Miami, the Port of Miami is unbelievable, and that tunnel that you can access it is I guess I want to say it's an engineering marvel.
Yes, it is.
So
Yep.
you had something to do with that, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, digging under the water, under the ocean. That was very interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. All right, so let's talk about electricity and the housing and residential electricity. When someone buys a house, what are the most common electrical problems you see in a house that especially just in general? What are some of the challenges that you see when somebody is purchasing a house or owning a house with electric?
Yeah, so if you're purchasing a home, then you definitely want to panels, the big ticket items, really the big things is what usually comes to mind first when you're purchasing. But if you're already living in a home, then the biggest issues that we find with people who are already in a home is a lot of GFIs and outlets and things like that are not working, or they stop working, or no longer working properly.
So what are some of the like red flags that as somebody is going through a house for the first time and they're noticing things and stuff like that? Obviously they're going to do a home inspection or even get an electrical inspection if that's the case. But what are some of the things that just as a lay person what should they be looking for?
Yeah, so I mean, like I mentioned before, the GFIs. That's probably gonna be one of the biggest things that, as a homeowner, you can go in and check while you're walking through the house, or even just looking at it. You just push those two little buttons on the outlet, right? They're in the kitchens, they're in the bathrooms, anywhere where there's water, and they should be outside as well. So that's gonna be probably one of the biggest things. If you're talking about red flags that we can see as people as well, is look at the brand, look at the model of the panel for that home. So a lot of Cisco's and not Cutler Hammer, but Sylvania as well.
FPE panels.
FPE. Those panels, those are big red flags that when you're walking through the home, and like you mentioned, always recommend to get a licensed electrician to do a inspection of of the home when
and
you
also
go to purchase it.
the cloth wiring as well. That's a pretty big issue as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you don't want to have you don't want to purchase a home and then all of a sudden find out that you have to rewire the entire home because there's circuits or, you could be a fire hazard.
Right. No, that's definitely a concern. So you had mentioned like GFIs and pushing the button. Just from I would imagine most people don't know this. What does a GFI actually do? Like what happens there on the back end that we don't see?
Yeah, so a GFI, you got to think about it like it's a little mini computer inside of an outlet. So it's reading the voltage, and if there's a loss of voltage between the ground and neutral, and so, the hot and the neutral. And so if there is that loss of voltage, which a lot of the times it happens when there's water or if someone's getting shocked by the device, it trips instantly. And so that's what the GFI is, right? The GFI is there as a safety device to protect you and anybody else in the home.
So trips means that it doesn't allow the current to continue to go through?
Yes, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
So it will stop functioning for the brief moment until you reset it.
Okay.
It's normally, the GFIs are normally, we're exposed to water. So a GFI you will find like outside. Outside should
kitchen.
be in the kitchen,
Right.
Bathrooms,
sink,
yeah.
bathrooms, laundry area. All that area you want to make sure that you're protected because, you could have you could have a hazardous if you plug something in and you could get electrical shot just by the water as well.
No, that's a good point about the laundry room. I didn't even think about the laundry room is one of those areas where that you have water and stuff like that.
And each one
Okay.
has a different section of the house. So you have a one that trips the kitchen,
It will
the
only
other one.
trip that kitchen area.
Right.
And you want that. As soon as it trips, that means it's working. It's it's active. That's what you want. You want to make sure that you're active. There was a case here in Boca, I think. A lady was taking a shower and she was listening to. She had plugged in her phone, and she was in a tub, and she got electrocuted because the GFI was not working properly. Obviously, that the GFI only has a lifespan. I believe it's between 10 to 15 years. So if you have a home that you're purchasing as a home, if it's more than 10, 15 years and those GFCIs are the original, you should be replacing them.
Is there a way to test them to see if they're working, or is it just better to replace them?
Yeah, no, well, obviously, if you're past the 10, 15 years, a good recommendation is to just replace them.
Got it.
But the two buttons are there to test it. So
Okay.
sometimes it's reversed, but it will say test on it.
Oh,
And
right.
you hit the test button, and then you hit the reset button. And that's the best way to check if it is working.
Okay. Okay.
If it doesn't reset, then you know you need to replace it. Or if it doesn't test, then you know you need to replace it.
Now, I know, I can't remember why I know this, but I know that this has happened to me in the past, so I figured I'd bring it up. So I've had a situation where like one GFI would trip the other GFI. Like for some reason, the two bathrooms were connected. That's a bad thing. That's not normal, right?
No, that's very normal. Actually, GFCI it's expensive. It's not like a regular receptacle.
Okay.
So what you do is you bring the line side on one side of the GFI, and then your load side, you can have 3, 4, 5 regular receptacles are being monitored by that one GFCI.
Okay.
So it's very common to do that, and it's actually a savings. You don't want to spend money in putting 5, 6 receptacles at GFCI. You just want to have one monitoring the other the other receptacles.
Okay.
So they actually work as a fuse, right? Back in the day when you have the fuse that you
I
replace
guess you
it.
can call it a fuse, yeah, but
Right?
it trips. A fuse, yeah.
The
trips
fuse
it
will
and
burn
no-
the little
Correct.
coil inside.
Yeah,
So-
but this one you can actually reset it.
right.
Yeah,
right.
it's not like you have to go and replace.
There are no
it
fuses
every single
anymore?
time.
No.
I'm that old then.
Not too much.
So now you had also mentioned a couple things about the electrical, the boxes, what are the things?
panels.
Panel.
The panels,
electrical
the
panels.
panels,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like
Or some
panels
people call it the fuse box.
right, panels to stay away from. And I know that from the financing side, we often get asked as a lender if we care like what kind of panel there is, and the weird question is we typically don't. But what ends up happening is if you have one of those panels that you talked about, they can't get insurance.
Yeah.
And so the bank very much cares about that. It's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Do we have a problem with the panel? No, but if you can't get insurance, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
So what are the issues with those panels specifically that cause it to not be insurable or causes them to be a little bit dangerous?
Yeah, so I mean, there are those specific, the FPEs and the Zinskos. Those have been
Should we be naming them?
Challenger as well.
Sylvania.
I mean, most of them are no longer around, so I guess we
Okay.
could.
All right.
I'm not too worried about it. But
They actually went bankrupt.
yeah,
Gotcha.
back in the
Yeah.
90s, most of them went bankrupt back in the 90s
Got it,
because
right.
of the issues. But what they found was, for whatever reason, the panels couldn't dissipate heat well enough, right?
Okay.
And amongst other issues with it, but one of the major issues is that it couldn't dissipate the heat. So the heat would build up and then they would catch on fire, right? So
Okay.
that's why most insurances now will not allow you to get
Yeah.
a
Also,
home.
it would use aluminum back end because at that time copper was too expensive, so they would use aluminum, and the alloy in the aluminum actually is the cause of the fire. So
So aluminum is flammable?
The old aluminum.
the
alloy.
old
old
aluminum
aluminum
is
is flammable.
flammable.
Okay,
correct.
okay.
That's why a lot of the wires, if you have a home, if you're purchasing a home, and there are homes here in Florida and the entire country that has aluminum wiring inside the home, if it's between the 90s and less, I definitely recommend to have an electrician look at it because it is a fire hazardous.
Got it. Now going back to the cloth wire, the cloth wiring is a hazard more because the cloth could fray, which exposes the wires.
Exactly. Yes. So
Okay.
the issue with the cloth wire, the biggest thing with the cloth wire is that it frays.
Okay.
It frays and it deteriorates, especially over time.
Okay.
And it causes that metal, whether copper or aluminum in whichever case, to be exposed. And now you have exposed cabling, exposed voltage out, so you get sparks, you get fire, you get heat, and then if you touch it, forget it, you get a nice shock.
And this is all, in most cases, this is behind the wall, so it's not like somebody could see it if it's a problem.
Yeah.
So how if you have to, when there's cloth wiring or something like that, would cloth wiring or and I guess I'm focusing on that just because it just sort of came up.
Yeah.
But on the if I have cloth wiring in one spot, is it safe to say that the whole house is cloth wiring if it hasn't been replaced?
Definitely, right? It would
Okay.
be safe to say it would be. You'd be hedging your bets in the right direction, right? To say that the house entirely has it if
Got
that
it.
one hasn't been replaced. Doesn't mean it 100% it does, but you're most likely going to have it. If you have it in one location, you're going to have it everywhere.
And do you guys have the ability to kind of to look behind the walls and see where that type of dangerous situation would occur?
I think it's really visible. So you go up in the attic to make sure that the cloth wiring also goes on the outside,
Got it.
in the
Okay.
attic as well. So no, we have
There's
do
not.
have thermal,
Yeah.
but
Unless
we normally use that thermal heating more for the panel
Yeah.
to make
Got
sure
it.
that there's no overheating of the breakers or anything like that.
Okay.
I don't think we never used it.
There's not
really
necessarily something where I can get this and I can tell that you have the cloth wiring
Correct.
through here. There's not
It's more visual.
nothing there necessarily.
I got you. But so what is it? What is the experience like? Like if somebody had to replace all the wiring in their house, like is that a possibility that it might make sense
Oh,
to replace
yes.
all your wiring?
Yeah, especially if you have
Okay.
the cloth wiring, it's definitely a recommendation.
Okay.
We've done a couple already.
Yes, we have.
I've worked on a home about 2 weeks ago actually where we had to replace a majority of the cloth wiring.
Okay.
Not all of it was cloth wiring, so we didn't have to do all of it, but there was a lot of it that was. And so in that case, we had to remove the old cloth wiring and then run new cables for everything.
And that was here in Boca.
Got it.
By about 10 minutes away from here.
It
2 miles down the road.
from
Yeah.
from like a budget standpoint for let's say a 2,000 square foot house, what would something like that typically cost to replace all the wiring?
Yeah.
Is it a major undertaking or?
So I mean, roughly you're talking 20, 30 plus
Okay.
for the entire home.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It all depends too as well. If
Of course, it all depends. Yeah.
yeah, it all depends too as well. Is the homeowner going to take all the drywall out
Yeah.
of the homes? 'Cause,
Oh, right. Because if you're going to remodel the house anyway,
Yeah,
remove a bunch
right,
of
that'll
drywall
be a
anyway,
lot less.
now
It'll be a
it's
lot
going to be a
less, of
lot
course.
cheaper and stuff like that. So if you're doing like a full remodel,
Yes, I'm coming at it from the angle of we still have all the walls, and we're going to try to protect the walls as much as possible while we're replacing all the wires.
got it.
Because remember, we would need to not use that outlet anymore because we're replacing the entire outlet. Right.
Right, I gotcha. Now, are there certain types of homes or like homes that were built within a certain period that are more prone to have electrical problems, or that people should at least be aware of, so that you guys can come in or an electrician can come in and make sure that the house is safe?
So there really isn't like a specific type of home or anything specifically or any years specifically that we can point to say, hey, the manufacturer or whatever the case is was bad during those years. There really isn't one. But what I could say and what I will say is that if your panels are older than 25 to 30 years, then you definitely want it to take taking a look at it. That's going to be the lifespan of your panels. 25 to 30 max, depending on here in South Florida, we're real close to the ocean. So a lot of your outside equipment gets damaged from the salt a lot faster. So other than that, if it's less than those 25 years, then it's not really going to be any major red flags, but you always want to have somebody come and take a look at it.
But I would assume also that the problem could arise when homeowners start implementing new outlets or new lighting without any, electrician that knows what they're doing. So that's when the problem starts to arise, right?
Yeah.
And then you guys have to come in and solve the problem from the bottom.
Yeah, I know. As far as correct, it's true. As far as the year you're looking at, I know the 1990s and lower. 1990s and lower was the last year that Sylvania was building the panels. So if you have a home that's 1990 or less, you should look at your electrical panel. But he's right. It's UL. Panels are it's like everything else. It only lasts a certain number of years, and panels they have a UL listing of probably between 20 and 25 years.
UL, what is?
Underwriters Laboratory. They basically give it a okay that it won't catch on fire. After that, you don't
have the okay.
They require, you don't have the okay. You don't have the certificate of UL, so you're required to be replacing it.
UL is a certificate that they test and they do all the things to make sure the device or whatever it is that you're installing is safe.
Now, what are Like, what are the most dangerous electrical problems that homeowners kind of come across or ignore that they shouldn't ignore? And I think the box is one of them. Are there
Yeah.
others?
I mean, look, the box is definitely one of them. You're talking about the panels and things, and most homeowners, unless you're buying a new home, you've been in this house for probably a couple years and you haven't had any issues, so it's not something that you're really going to worry about. Some of the biggest things that we tend to ignore that are really life safety are like smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. You kind of just set it and forget it with those kind of things. You don't even realize it that it's been 10 years or whatever and they're still there
Right.
and they need to be replaced 5 years ago, right? And so it's like that. And then again, to the GFIs, those are going to be probably some of the biggest safety things for you to do in your home that people tend to kind of let go of by the wayside.
Right, but homeowners that actually ignore the safety, I would be, a lot of times if you hear sizzling from a panel or a receptacle or a switch, it's not supposed to be sizzling. So you definitely do not want to ignore that. That is something that we don't want to ignore.
No.
If you smell anything that if you smell anything coming out of the panel or an electrical device, you definitely you don't want to ignore it. You want to make sure that you do it right away. Or give an electrical contractor, give
Yeah.
a license a call.
A quick tip is if you smell something sweet that's kind of like sweet smelling aroma, usually that's insulation that's burning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
That's a good tip. Now, you kind of brought it up a little bit about people adding stuff to their box
Right,
or putting in new electrical, especially some of the stuff that you could do today. What are some of the electrical mistakes that homeowners make when trying to do something themselves? That like you've seen where like they attempted it and then they obviously had to call you because it didn't work.
Sometimes it's just a contractor that, I can do this outlet for you.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
call.
yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, that happens all the time too. Yeah. So what are some of the mistakes that you guys have kind of seen and for people to kind of look out for?
Yeah, look, I could never recommend anyone to do electrical work, right, without having a proper licensed electrician there to get it done. But
Yeah.
we run into it all the time. They think they could change the outlet and then they put the wires on improperly or they did something incorrectly and now it's not working. Thankfully, most people have a healthy respect for electrical and they don't try to do a lot of DUI things.
Okay.
But it's usually an outlet or a GFI that they're trying to replace and it doesn't work or it sparks and it explodes or something and then they call us to go and fix it. But typically speaking, we're not really getting a lot of people who are trying to do major projects on their own.
I know the one things that we have seen actually just recently. We went to a house and he had somebody replace the hi-hats, the lights, LED lights,
yeah.
lighting. Absolutely no box in the attic. It was all exposed wiring with a wire nut. Yeah. So
Wow.
those are the safety things that you definitely want to make sure that your home inspector looks at. And those are a dangerous situation. You don't want to have that.
I know for me, electrical is something I definitely don't touch. Like you said, a healthy respect for electrical.
Yeah.
Now, you as a software designer, you're using your computer all the time and things like that.
Right.
What are some of the things that people can do to prevent like the power surges from destroying their high-end electronic components and the computer and stuff like that?
The way we kind of like to think about surge protection in this case and protecting yourself from any surges is you want to close off any possibility, right? So it'd be like, hey, I'm going to lock my front door, but I'm going to leave my window wide open, right?
Okay.
You want to close your window as well. So they are surge protectors that we can put in the panel for your entire home, and it's going to protect your refrigerator and the large devices like this. But like you said, your computer, it's also Ethernet. So you have the low voltage side attached to it. So you want to make sure you're also getting the surge protection for the low voltage line. We have surge protection for outside your compressor unit as well, because that's isolated from the rest of the home slightly. And so you want to add surge protection. The best way to do it is the more walls you put up, the less likely you're going to get, broken into. That surge is going to come through.
That's funny. That FPL a couple of years ago, they came to our house and then they changed something. All of a sudden, a month later, say, now we have this new service that we can protect from surges, and but obviously an extra cost if you wanted to hire. So that's what they did, right? They put something to detect surges.
And the majority of the surges are coming from FPL.
Right.
And they're selling this device that it really for you to get paid on these devices, it's pretty hard because you have to go like a whole bunch of loops to try to get
How
paid.
to prove
because
who
how
did
to
the
prove
search,
it exactly.
There's a lot of red tape when it comes to
So
that
you
one.
just want to make sure that you don't. To me, my advice is not just find an electrical contractor to put a really good warranted surge protector. And like my son says, the more you protect, the better it is. The way I look at it is like let's say a house, right? You want to protect. You put a fence. You want to protect your home, so you're putting a surge protector on the outside. Now you're in the home. You want to make sure that you protect your search from, so you do another second protection on the inside panel. So that's the way I look at it. More of a, if a thief wants to come in, he came in through the gate, but now he's got another search to get in there.
And you guys have that surge protection? Do you guys carry those kind of things, or okay?
Yes, we do. And our warranty is about $100,000.
Nice.
Into warranty.
Now, I did like the analogy just because it reminded me of something about. So I had gotten impact windows installed on my house.
Okay.
It was great. And the weird thing is that I had shutters, and I couldn't believe that my insurance wouldn't go down now that I have this constant protection as opposed to, right? Because even that with impact windows, like you're less likely to break into my house because you can't get in, than, right? So you would think there'd be some kind of savings, but there was none. And then I realized somebody could crack my window. So on my back window, I had a sticker that says, my neighbor doesn't have impact windows and he leaves at 4:00. So, because I didn't want somebody breaking in.
No.
Hopefully your neighbor is not watching this podcast.
Maybe. I've since moved, but yes. All right. So one of the other things that happens, especially in an area that is prone to get hurricanes, is we lose power and people they hook their generators up and like backfeed it to their house. Right?
Very dangerous.
Okay, talk about that. Why is that so dangerous?
Well, first of all, it's illegal. You can't do that, and we see it all the time. Not only dangerous to the linesmen that trying to fix the issue, because now you're backfeeding to your home, and that linesman is actually trying to also work on their trying to support you to get your power back on. It is dangerous, and I definitely do not recommend it. They do have interlock kits that they sell. We do also install.
Do you guys install those?
There is a way to make it safe, right?
Okay,
so
that's what I wanted to
there
talk
is
about.
a way of making it safe, and there is a way of it to be done correctly, right? It's only dangerous if done incorrectly.
Right.
There's an interlock kit, and what the interlock kit does is it forces you to turn off the power coming from FPL. So you have to turn off that breaker coming from FPL, and then you can backfeed into the home. That is the safe way of doing it.
Got it.
And in that, you wait until FPL gets turned back on, and then you reverse the process, turning off your generator and then turning back on the FPL, as in the power service, the service company provider.
Got it.
If
Okay.
you have a portable generator, can you hold like a fridge and a small air conditioning just for a couple of days or something? Is that
You can just don't backfeed.
no,
your
no,
home.
without backfeeding.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you could run a refrigerator. It also depends on the size of
Right,
the
regular
little
size.
AC unit. Depends on the size of the generator. But you definitely could. You definitely could.
Would that be more prone to surge too if you like hooked up a computer to a generator or anything like that, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So when somebody's renovating their kitchen or bathroom, they're doing a big project renovation, how often should the electrical system be upgraded? Like, do they kind of go inside together, or it depends on what they're doing?
I mean, it's really going to depend on what they're doing. The truth of the matter is, right now, with how far technology and everything has advanced, a lot of the new appliances and the new ovens and things they're more energy efficient than before.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily have to upgrade it, unless you want to add some new larger equipment or something like that. Most of the new appliances all fit in with what you currently have in the home.
Now, do you guys work with like AV companies, or maybe you do it yourself, where you upgrade the like lighting and the audio and all that kind of all those components? Kind of like let's talk about smart houses,
Mm-hmm.
right? If somebody wanted to make their smart house, do you guys work? Do you guys do that? Do you guys work with somebody who does that?
We could. It's definitely not our bread and butter. It's not something that we're doing on the daily. We've done a little bit of it before. There are some great companies in the area that we work with if you want to go fully smart.
Yeah, you're talking about more like a lighting
Well,
animation.
yeah, he's
right?
talking about like full
Yeah.
full house
Yeah,
automation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
Well,
that's
that's more like lighting animation, but you can get something which we installed all the time is just if you want to if you want to be able to control your lighting, you're with an app. Yeah, they have switches and receptacles that you're able to do right from your phone.
right. What you guys could install, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
We do
yeah.
that all the time.
I thought we were
Okay.
talking about more of like whole home automation for like the entire home.
No,
Okay.
a little bit of both, but I kind
Got
of
it.
understand the difference. Is that if somebody wanted to do make some like improvements, they could do it.
Yes,
But I
most
guess
definitely.
I wasn't sure if you're going to do those big jobs, if like it involves like changing your electrical panel and doing something that where you might want to have an electrician, be there to support what they're doing.
Of course.
So
yes.
so yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that you wanna that we're finding issues is if you're, let's say you buy an EV vehicle, right? Electric vehicles. Those you have to make sure that you do a load calculation to the home, because you want to make sure that your service doesn't need to be upgraded. Even though we do have load management now, that even if your service is 100 or 125 amps, we don't have to upsize the service because we have load management that will work along with your service.
You're killing me because you're answering questions before I have a chance to ask. No, that's awesome. I know that you guys do a lot with EV and all
Yes.
that. Tell us about like how is the Tesla charger specifically different than other EV chargers?
Realistically, all the chargers, they're all about the same, right? There's
Okay.
besides the look of them, electrically, they're all going to be wired the same. They're all going to be rated the same. They're all going to integrate into the home about the same way. Maybe a little bit different for some of them, but they're all going to be about roughly. They're all in the same ballpark. The
Okay.
biggest issue that we find, like he said, is that you buy this brand new car and you're all excited and you want to put in this home charger, and then you see that your home can't handle what the load is.
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to replace the panel in my house
Yeah,
for
so
the
did I.
EV and
Yeah,
to
very
put
common.
another hot tub.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
But now, like I said, now you have load management that you can put in,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
now you don't need to replace.
Yeah,
No,
first,
no,
entire
no. Now
service.
it's good. Yeah.
at first I was trying with the Tesla. I was trying to charge on the on the washer machine, so you had
Oh,
a cable.
the-
You wouldn't
the-
do anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. Forget about it.
Yeah, my stepdad has like a 50 amp thing
Mhm.
to charge it. It takes forever.
Right, right.
The
They
thing
do-
heats up
yeah.
all the time. The charger goes. It's like the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Just invest in doing it the right way.
Yeah, just do it the right way the first time, and there's no issues after that.
Right.
What electrical trends do you think will become standard in homes over the next 10 years? Is that more of a EV type of thing as opposed to the basic electrical stuff?
I don't know if EVs will ever fully become standard in people's homes. I think there's too many people that love gas cars for that to be a standard thing in the homes. What I think will happen in the future is everyone's home is going to have some sort of smart device, no matter what, whether it's for your lighting system or your TV or some sort of lighting controls is going to be in every home moving forward. And then I think also the trend that we're seeing now is the new builders are leaving space for EV chargers. They're leaving it in the panels for EV chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're doing it on purpose, maybe they're not, but a lot of these newer homes do have the space for like an EV charger or to add something onto it.
Got it. And like you were kind of saying earlier about like the appliances, the AC, and all that they're becoming more energy efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So with them being more energy efficient, does that sort of mean they're also using less current from the electrical panel? Like how do those two things connect?
Yeah, so they're consuming less.
Right.
So ACs in the back in the day, they would consume a ton. Can't even think of how much off the top of my head, but now everything is so efficient that it's all consuming, I want to say like even 5 times less
Yeah, even
in a lot of equipment depending.
even changing LEDs in your home.
Yeah.
We used to, like my home has a whole bunch of had a hi-hats that was 75 watts. Now we're replacing all these with like 10 watts with LED with the same amount of lumens. So we are consuming less inside. The issue comes when we install like EV. That is a very power hungry device, and also instant hot water is a very power hungry
I'm glad you brought up the hot water heater.
Yeah. Even though they
okay.
think it's you would think that it's friendly green, but it draws a lot of power.
Because you keep heating the water over and over.
Oh,
over
yeah.
For the whole 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
7 days
it's
a week.
very power hungry.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So often, so that's installed typically by a plumber, right? Or do you guys do that?
Correct.
Okay.
Plumber will install.
Plumber will
instant
do
hot
that,
water.
then
Yeah,
you guys will
nobody
do
has
the
the
electrical
electrical
load
part.
to,
Exactly.
to deal with that. Okay. Okay. That's good.
But you see a trend, like when you guys are going to test an outlet, you go with the device and you see if there's current on it. You see that a trend where even the outlets will be smart and you'll be able to find out if which outlet has or has not power, doesn't have power. Because you see, like washer, dishwasher, on the app you can turn it on and off and see the status. But the outlet itself, do you see in the future that you will have a device, a sensor, that will know that it has power or not on that outlet? You see something like that?
I don't see anything like that coming down the pipeline anytime soon, but it would be an awesome thing to have. It really would be.
You guys just test.
A lot of the switches and all that, those are the smart switches that we have.
Maybe they'll have like a little light in the corner or
Light?
something, but
yeah,
nothing,
the light. Yeah, I've seen those lights. Yeah.
nothing,
Uh-huh.
nothing on like an outlet specifically.
Right.
Nothing for an outlet that specifically tells you, hey,
Yeah.
this thing is on. Nothing.
That
Maybe
that's,
for industrial and commercial
Maybe.
use.
that's the advantage of having two hosts. So this kind of worked out.
Yeah.
That was a really good question, and for any engineers who might be listening, we might have a good patent idea for
Exactly.
you.
No charge.
No charge. There you go. So when I was younger, I had this idea. Actually, this was the world's stupidest idea. So I had bought glasses for my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
The sunglasses, we got them at the Santa Monica Pier
Okay.
in California. The sunglasses said UV rated.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't tell me what the rating was. It just said that they were rated, right? And I equated it back then as it's kind of like, asking somebody, I've been AIDS tested. Great. What's the result? I don't really care that you've been tested. I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
Right? So it turns out that it didn't have great UV protection.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I know this is because I went all mental and I got a device called the radiometer.
Yeah.
I bought a radiometer to test it. So now I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a problem. Like you're the kids like glasses. You can't tell them, oh no, you can't get those because this, So I'm thinking, I've got this idea. I'm going to make like a paste, like similar to Rain-X, so that will go on a pair of glasses and give you the UV protection that you
Additional
need.
UV protection.
Right? Now, one of the things that people probably don't know, and Rain-X is going to hate me for this, is that Rain-X actually increases the amount of UV light that goes into your car. I bet you didn't know. People didn't know
I
that.
did
Not know this.
Right, exactly right. So now I'm thinking I've got this great idea because I'm gonna do this.
I'm gonna patent it.
A little bit of chemistry background. I've got this. I ordered like a bunch of the supplies so I can make this because you need like it was just so stupid. The ingredients that you do to like make sunscreen, which is something called titanium dioxide, and there's some other thing. No. But not only that, this is how stupid it was. So I'm in California at the time, visiting my dad, but I stayed there for a while. Mm-hmm. So I'm in California. I'm trying these experiments, and I ordered 2 5-pound bags of these 2 white powders. Okay,
In California.
So lo and behold, I get the compound, I get it to work. I've got this thing, that works, that reduced the amount of UV light to even like a drinking glass. I could put it on a drinking glass and reduce the amount of UV light.
Wow.
This is awesome. So I send my dad to Target to go pick up glasses that don't have UV protection. And he can't. And at Walmart, Target, he can't find a single pair of glasses that don't have 100% UV. So like, what a disaster.
But
Hold on. So now I'm getting ready to leave, you know, and I've got these 2 5-pound bags of powder, and I don't want to bring them on the plane.
Of course, yeah.
Right. So I'm thinking I'll just mail them to my house. Right. So I put them in the car. We're going to drive to the post office, and I put them in the trunk of my dad's car, and I leave the trunk open, and I go inside the house. Right. I get distracted. Something happens. Whatever. As luck would have it, a police officer drives by the house
Of course.
and sees that the trunk is open. So he's walking up to the door. I found this out later. He's walking up to the door to tell us, hey, your trunk is open. But then he sees 2 5-pound bags of white powder.
My God.
So then he calls a bunch of
so
other
funny.
cops.
swarming into
And no, they didn't storm in. But now there's like 6 cops at the house when the guy knocks on my door. And he goes, do you live here? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, come outside with me. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, could you explain this? I'm like, oh my God. I had to go like through this whole story and all this kind of stuff. And there's cops like everywhere.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
So yeah, it was a pretty disastrous story and I still own a radiometer. So if anybody wants to buy
Everyone
one,
needs one.
it is available for sale. All right, let's get back to that. So the if you were going to if somebody was getting ready to sell their house, what would be good advice for them in terms of making sure their electrical panels are good, or you know, to make sure that is there something they should do that's going to help them get the most value, that might be a value specific upgrade or something like that?
Like specifically for the panels, you're saying, or
Well,
just
yeah,
like in
maybe
general,
if they have an
electrical in
old
the home?
panel, change the panel.
Yeah, I mean, if you have one of the old panels that we spoke about already, then
Right.
you're definitely going to want to replace it, because no one's going to be able to purchase the home through a loan or through a bank because
Right.
the insurance just won't allow it, right? If it's one of those, the Cinscos or the FBE panels that we spoke about sooner.
Yeah, I think generally for my clients that are at least selling a house, is that generally you're going to get more value for the you know, if the buyer is going to have to burden the cost, they're going to want more than the actual cost.
Yes.
Whereas if you replace it, it's probably going to be a little bit more beneficial.
Yes. Sorry, no, please continue.
Oh no, what I was going to say is there like a pre-check that you guys could do, or that an electrician could
Definitely.
do to say,
Yes.
hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. Tell me if everything is okay.
Yeah, definitely. You would. I think you would need to call an electrical company to at least give you an estimate, or at least do an inspection of the home. Well, that's what we do as well. We do an inspection, and you have a proper estimate of how much you're gonna spend or how much it's gonna cost. If either you're selling, I would probably make sure that you take care of the biggest items. If you're purchasing, it's actually a good way to tell the seller, hey, you know, this electrical panel is going to cost you this much. I need to reduce the price on that.
Yeah, I have a client that's going to have to replace his electrical panel. The house is in Fort Lauderdale, so I'll tell you about that. Do you have any other electrical questions for our electrical experts?
I'm very, very satisfied with all the answers.
I-
Knowledgeable.
I think it's great. I think this is a great topic because I think for people who are buying a home, who own a home, that
Oh, I got one. I got one.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you have the light in the pool, I know that it's always, boggles my mind that you have the light inside the pool and it doesn't shock everyone inside the pool. I know it's a low voltage. That's why it doesn't. Even though if it's unprotected, that it's safe to swim with light inside the
It's
pool.
funny that you say that, because that's actually the biggest mistake.
Oh, really?
If you put a 9-volt battery in your tongue, what happens? It shocks you, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with a pool, even though it's low voltage.
Okay.
So have a licensed electrician take a look at your grounding system in your pool. That is, it is a very, people do get electrocuted all the time
No kidding.
in pools.
Wow.
Just because of aging of the grounding system around the pool, or they didn't do it properly. So we do have a system that we can check. If you have a license, we do have a system that you check your pool outside grounding to make sure that it's is done properly. That's something if you buy in a home as well that you would want to, because most inspectors don't check for that.
They don't. They actually mind it.
They don't.
Yeah.
Right, but I definitely recommend it, even if it's a low voltage lighting. I definitely recommend. You can get electrocuted, and if you're electrocuted in the pool, majority of the time you don't die from the electrocution. You die from because you drown. So it's very important.
Okay.
Right.
good.
Now,
Pool safety is very, very important.
Yeah.
now, is there something, because you guys mentioned earlier about like FP&L or the electric company, it doesn't have to necessarily be FP&L, that a lot of times the surges happen from them. Is there a way to check like the electric, is it even something you have to do, kind of check the electric that's coming from the main to your house?
There's not really a way to check it, right?
Okay.
Most surges are going to come from the power company.
Right.
The other type of surge you're going to get from lightning. There's not much you can do against lightning. It's just too powerful, especially if it's a direct hit. But there's not really anything. Something else that's actually really important, now that you kind of brought it up, checking that power coming from the power company, is something that we really don't think about, that it's a safety issue. You have those wires coming from the power company. They're either coming from underground or they're coming from overhead. There's that metal conduit that those wires are inside of it. That metal tends to rust, and it tends to get very old, which then those wires begin to become exposed.
Got it.
And so it's definitely something that if you're looking to buy a home, or if you're even thinking, even at your own home, to check for something safety, is to check, especially at the bottom where the conduit and the dirt meets.
Got it. Okay.
It tends to rust very quickly in that location, because that's where the water tends to settle. And so that is another safety issue. That's another safety thing that we always check whenever we go to somebody's home, because it is very important.
That's a really, really good tip. I'm glad that you mentioned it. I'm glad that you led to the question that led to me asking the really good question. One of the other things that we almost missed, and I'm so glad that we didn't, is backup power. Okay. We didn't really talk about solar power and how, is that something that you guys see a lot of? Is that something that you recommend for people? I know that it's almost a different industry, but when somebody has solar power, does it impact any of the work that you do from the electrical component? And then I was going to ask you about battery backups, because I know you guys install those, like Tesla battery backups and all that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so solar and battery and everything, it doesn't really change what we do inside the home. Those are typically standby, or you use it when you don't want to pay at the premium electrical when it's at the highest cost, right? And so those are kind of like standby units. It doesn't really change how we do our work internally. We definitely recommend it to anybody that has, the money for it, because it is a pretty penny to get those kind of battery backup systems and the solar panels on your home. The one thing I love about the batteries compared to like a standby generator or something is they take up a lot less space. They take up a lot less space, and they're a lot easier to manage with your phone, especially with the Tesla batteries. They have the Tesla app that makes it a lot easier to kind of manage and decide what you're going to do with that extra battery.
But the battery thing you can do in a condo, right?
Correct. That's something that we are installing. If you own a condo or anything or even a home that you're locked with land and you can't put a generator, you're able to put a battery backup, and it's really not that expensive. Right now, the battery has come down, and you're able to at least emergency that you'll have some lighting, some refrigerator that you want to make sure that is on, and battery backup is very. you can actually get it in a lot of places that condos.
We
or,
recently installed one at his home, and
Right.
you use it now to charge the AC, to run the AC when.
Yeah, no, you can basically it comes smart. There's an app, and you're able to monitor how much power the home is consuming, and it's incredible. Battery backup is I actually like it better than generator. Generator, you got to have a maintenance agreement, and if when you're going to need it, it won't start, and we've had those issues.
It's a motor.
Yes. Noise
It's a motor.
too.
Noise.
Noise too.
Noise, very
Yeah.
noise. So with installing a battery backup in your home, it's efficient. You can do it in a condo. We've done it in a condo, a couple of condos here in
Yep, we've done a couple
Lighthouse
condos.
Point and even up north as well.
During Hurricane Irene, I had a generator on my house, and so my whole neighborhood was pitch black, and I had my outside lights on, and I was opening and closing my garage door.
Just showing off. I got you. Hey, I'd probably do the same thing.
So yeah, but the battery things have come a long way. When you were telling
yeah.
me that you could do like a generator in a condominium, that's unreal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is great. We have a lot of in Florida we have a lot of condos. There's a lot of condos all over the country. But if you're in an area where your power goes out or you're prone to hurricanes and stuff like that, having a backup generator so that you can protect your food and all that is
It's exactly what it is, a backup
Like,
generator. It's
I love
a
it.
battery. And
All right.
no fumes, no noise, and it's instant power.
All right. Well, this has been the Loan Doctor Podcast. Jarvis, we're actually going to get to more of what you do on another edition of the
Sure.
Loan Doctor Podcast.
I'll be here.
But I appreciate having Ishmael here and you. It is awesome. You guys were just phenomenal, and I think the information was really, really helpful. So Lou, thank you. Ishmael, thank you. And this has been the Loan Doctor Podcast. Thank you for being in my waiting room.